Hi, Eric. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to see you again. And for those of you watching our video, I wanted to introduce you to Eric Bacon. He's our business development manager for Swan Hellenic. I'm excited to introduce Expedition Cruising to you all. And I just came off this beautiful line in November. I'm sure a lot of you saw my posts from Rio to Buenos Aires, and it was the most exciting experience. And I was very nervous about the idea, but now I am hooked on expedition sailing. So if you would like to take it away, Eric, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Claire, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to join you this morning or this afternoon, depending where you are, and really talk to you about Swan Hellenic and who we are and what we do and the way of expedition, really, which is a kind of a trendy word lately, but I think it really explains the fact of where the cruise industry is going and where people are want to do now with cruising. And even for people that are not cruisers, they say, oh, I don't cruise, I don't like cruising. Expedition is a total different thing because you're going deeper in the destinations. It's just a different way of exploring the world. So um, I would like to start mainly because maybe Swan Hellenic, for some of your of the people joining the presentation, they it's a word, it's a name that they've been familiar with or they've heard about it. Well, it is because it's been in place for over 75 years. So it was the Swan family back in 1950 that started this company, and they were doing very specific sailing in the in the Eastern Mediterranean for the Hellenic Society of London, hence the Hellenic part of our name. So it's not that the company is Greek, it's mostly because they were doing it for the Hellenic Society, and they were sailing mostly in Turkey, Greece, and Egypt back in the day. And then it changed hands through the course of its history. And then at the end of 2019, early 2020, perfect timing to restart a company at that point. A group of European investors restarted the company. So today, Swan Hellenic is a whole new company, new hardware, new philosophy, and so on. But we're still keeping the same mission that was starting with the Swan family with cultural expedition. And you'll understand about when I say cultural expedition in the world. So, and the Swan Hellenic way really is a little bit of what I said at the beginning of the presentation. It's to come and discover the world in a deeper way, to really come with your head and your heart and really be open in discovering different cultures, different regions. Be ready that the schedule can change on a dime, because it happens, and that's the beauty of an expedition, because sometimes you might have surprises that you were not expected, and not necessarily talking about bad surprises but good surprises, because we were necessarily maybe planning to do something, but because of the weather, or maybe because some event of some sort is happening, or so we can change because it's easier. And you'll see it later when I talk about the ships, how why it's so easy to do so. And when you are part of an expedition journey, um, your family on board is the expedition team. There's usually about 12 members of the expedition team, and they really take care of our guests on board the ship as well as off the ship. So they're really your extended family, and many of them will also be a specialist in the field, because you'll understand that it's very educational and very experiential when you come on an expedition journey. So Some of them will be a geologist, an ornithologist, a historian, a penguin specialist, a whale specialist, and so on. So they will give lectures on board. There will be some activities also that will be determined on the regions where you are. And the expedition team also changes depending where we are in the world. And you'll understand when I come to where we are sailing why they are changing. These expedition teams are changing. But also we have developed in the last few years some partnerships, because some will also be guest lecturers on top of our expedition team members that will also be specialists and give lectures. So we've developed three main partnerships. One is about wellness. It's our Explore and Restore program with Deepak Chopra. So this program is about yoga, meditation sessions, breathe work. There are lectures about well-being, wellness, and also a menu that is set for those that are part of the program also. It's a program that you pay extra for. So you can be on a sailing and this program is offered, but that doesn't mean that you need to be part of that program. If there's a couple and one of them wants to do the program, the other one doesn't want to, that's fine. One can do so. And we know that the wellness travel is expanding also, and I think it's a great fit with an expedition company to have that as well in our program. The second one is with our Maris at Sea program with the Young Chefs of Europe. And this organization has over 350 chefs. Many of them are up and coming. Many of them own a restaurant. They are a Michelin star, and they come on a sailing with us to cook for our guests. There's usually a gala dinner that is organized as well on the ship during the journey. So it's a great culinary experience that you can do during a sailing. And in 2025, for example, we have 9 sailings with one of those chefs. And then the last one is definitely a different experience overall. It's with our Space at Sea program with the SETI Institute. If you're not familiar with the SETI Institute, it stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. So these scientists are part of NASA, and they come on board to also do research, but educate our guests about what they do, about their research. And it's a great way of discovering a journey, a region of the world with these scientists on board. Of course, being an expedition cruise line, it's very important, and I think that's probably top of the list, to be sustainable and not impact more on the regions that we are discovering. So our ships have the latest technology. They have all been built in the last 4 years. I'll give you an example that we rarely, not to say never, use our anchors wherever we are. We use a GPS positioning. So we don't destroy with our anchor any of the marine flora or the marine wildlife wherever we are sailing. And the fuel that we're using is the most sustainable fuel that is available. And also we have an electrical power that is used for our ships. So it's very important for us, and we have the technology and the ships for that. On the screen, you can see where Swan Hellenic is sailing. Of course, being expedition, we talk about the polar regions. It's kind of our bread and butter, if I can say, with Antarctica and the Arctic region, with Iceland, Greenland, Svalbard, and northern Canada. But we also have very intriguing destinations in South America, in Africa, where in 2025 we do all of the coasts as well, and a little bit of the Med, where our history started back in the 1950s. And I'll go a little deeper with presenting some of these regions a little bit more in detail, starting with Antarctica. And you can see on the screen some of the different itineraries that we offer. It could go from a 9-night in Antarctica up to a 17-night in Antarctica. And when we talk about a longer sailing in that region, it's usually to include South Georgia. South Georgia, it's a little bit out of the way in the southern Atlantic Ocean. So we need to calculate a little bit more time to be able to go in that area. So that's why it's a little longer when you want to experience the emperor penguin in South Georgia, and also make a stop in the Falkland Islands, which is a very interesting area of the world. We also do a lot of Africa, as I mentioned earlier, and we've discovered that even in Western Africa, there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of interest because we're talking about mostly a cultural journey. On the eastern part of Africa, it's usually known for its wildlife with safaris and so on. But from a Western standpoint, it's a lot more about cultural. When we go, for example, in one of the communities and have a voodoo ceremony. Now, we're not talking about the voodoo that we're usually exposed in Louisiana. It's a total different type of religion that you could experience with a ceremony part of that community. We go to the Bijagos Island, which is a matriarchal society just off Guinea-Bissau on the western coast, on the northern western coast of Africa. So women are in charge of the administration, the operation of the sailing. Also, when a woman asks a man for marriage, the man cannot refuse. So these are all little intricate cultures that we're not necessarily familiar with, that we have the ability to do, especially from a cruise or a ship, and give you the opportunity to cover a big region that would be a lot more challenging to do on land. From the eastern part, we have this amazing sailing of 16 nights from Mombasa in Kenya to Cape Town, visiting the west coast of Madagascar, that I had the opportunity to do about a year and a half ago. And it was absolutely just stunning visiting this part of the world, with the northern part of Madagascar, which is a lot more lush, and then the southern part is a little bit more desertic, and see the differences also. From a South America standpoint, we usually do the western part of South America in the spring and the eastern part in the fall. That Claire actually experienced this itinerary in the lower right corner from Rio to Buenos Aires. But I also like to highlight our 19 nights from Bridgetown to Salvador de Bahia, giving you, again, from a ship's perspective, the northern part of South America, covering all this region, visiting all these different countries, that again would be a very challenging way of seeing from a land perspective, but you would be able to cover that. And on that sailing from Bridgetown to Salvador, you would be sailing in the Amazon River for 2 nights. And then if we get to a little closer to Canada kind of thing, we have the Arctic with Svalbard, to see the amazing polar bear, the king of the Arctic. And for those of you that are more maybe on the east coast of Canada, we have that sailing that leaves out of Halifax to Reykjavik, visiting the southern part of Greenland, that I was able to experience last year in May. An absolute gem to discover the southern part of Greenland with these communities there. The Inuit are absolutely so welcoming. So much that you're walking in the street and they're honking and waving at you, and the young people are talking to you and sharing their cultures. It's just an absolute gem to visit that part of the world. Now, I don't want to spend too much time, and I want to introduce you about our fleet and our ships when you are coming to discover these different regions in the world where we are sailing. At Swan Hellenic, we have 3 ships that were built, as I said earlier, in the last 3 years. The Minerva was built in 2021. The Vega was built in 2022. Both of them are exactly the same. They hold about 152 people. They have a 76 stateroom. All staterooms are ocean view, and 80% of them have a balcony. This is really a discovering the world in unpretentious luxury way. We like to use that because on board it's casual. We don't expect anyone dressing up, especially for dinner. You want to come with your jeans and a t-shirt for dinner? That's fine. Usually people will dress up a little bit more, but there's no obligation. So it's very comfortable on board. You don't need to make a reservation for the restaurant. You just show up when it's open and they'll sit you down. I won't cover the exact size and the different categories to the staterooms. I'll let you contact Claire. She's professional. She's been sailing on the Vega back in November, and she can definitely help you with this. But I like to highlight that luxury comes in details. And one thing that we have that others don't is the fact that all our staterooms have a fireplace. Now, you don't need to bring your own wood. It's electrical, but they crackle. And again, I'll let you talk with Claire about the fact of how it is so special to come in your staterooms and having your fireplace crackling in your staterooms and giving you like a home feeling on board. All your meals are included. The main chef that sets all our menu is a 3 Michelin star, so you're gonna be fed really well on board. And then I just want to highlight the fact that our 3rd ship, the Diana, was built in 2023. The difference with the Diana, she's just a little bigger than her 2 other sisters, but she looks exactly the same in and out, to the only difference that she has 1 room categories that the other don't, which is the junior suite. But the rest is exactly the same also. One thing that I'll highlight as well is on Swan Hellenic, we keep our uh, public areas to a minimum. What I mean by that is we don't have too many public areas. That means that it's a lot more roomy. We can accommodate everyone at once. For example, in our observation lounge, where we do the lectures and different activities. In the main restaurant, we can sit everybody at one seating if we wanted to. So you never really feel that you are on a small ship. And again, I'll let Claire talk to you about that experience, and she can possibly share the same feeling as well. So hopefully I was able to share with you a little bit about who is Swan Hellenic. You have a better understanding of who we are, what we do, where we go also. And I was able to plant a seed to make you a little bit more curious in contacting Claire and maybe seeing you on board very soon.
Thank you, Eric. That was great. And it gave me fond memories of our experience. I forgot about the fireplace, but you're right. We had it going all the time, and just lying in bed, hearing that little crackle was really, really nice. And just speaking of sleeping, with the most comfortable beds I think I've ever been on a ship, and the food was incredible. I think I mentioned that to you while we were cruising, how impressed I was with the food, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I think that this is a sort of experience that a lot of people are looking for. They just don't know where to find it. So yeah. But then,
Exactly. I'll
yes.
agree with that.
Yes. Anyway, thank you again for everything, and we'll be in touch absolutely for the next cruise.